Here is Mlynar. He's okay, I guess. He's kinda just some washed up nobody from Casimir's. I'm honestly surprised they let him into Rhodes Island because of just how plain he is. Everyone's saying that he's a must pull, but I don't really get it. Mlynar doesn't do anything huge. He doesn't even warm my heart like Angelina. So I tested him to see if he was actually good as people say he was, and I have to admit, he's disappointing. What do you need a shovel for? I mean, I guess I do have a spare one in the garage downstairs. Mlynar is a Liberator Guard, which is the branch that sits there and does absolutely nothing. It's honestly expected of him. Liberators are one of the more underwhelming guard branches because they don't attack off skill and have 0 block and even have a low attack stat. Like, look at this dude. He only has around 400 base attack. I mean, yeah, there's a trait that increases his attack to 3 times its base over 40 seconds, giving him 1200 attack, but even then, that's really only 1200 attack. Mlynar gets 3 block when his skill is up, and he will maintain this attack stat until his skill duration is over, then it goes back to his base 400. His HP is not that impressive either, only going up to over 4000 at E290 with max trust, and he also has okay defensive stats with 500 defense and 15 arts resistance, though I don't really think his tankiness is anything special. Mlynar's first talent increases his attack by 10% when he attacks. If there are 3 or more enemies in the 8 surrounding tiles, it increases it to 15% and reduces his damage taken by 15%. I can't really tell what HG was thinking when they made this. This talent has its uses, but it's pretty underwhelming. I feel like it doesn't really do anything for him besides increase his damage and tankiness, meaning it's not actually that useful. Also, do you really trust him around hordes of enemies to satisfy that extra damage and damage reduction condition? I personally wouldn't. Mlynar's second talent gives him taunt and makes all Casimir's operators reflect true damage if they're hit when he's deployed. Again, I don't understand what HG was trying to do here. Giving him taunt just means he's gonna be taking more hits, which is pretty bad considering his subpar tankiness. The true damage reflect also doesn't do much. Like, seriously? Okay, sure, he applies it to himself, which is already but for some reason, it has synergy with Casimir's operators. Out of all the factions, Casimir's is probably the most underwhelming. It only contains operators like Neural Alter, Gravel, or Blemish Eye, all of which don't provide much support to your squad. Mlynar's Reflect isn't even that good because it's only 15% of his almost 1200 attack. I mean, I guess his talent does have some synergy with Ock's third skill since Mlynar's taunt overrides Ock's skill targeting, but really? First of all, he can barely tank Ock shots. Second of all, when would you want to Ock buff this guy? He's part of the Liberator Guard branch. His sole job is to just sit there and read a newspaper. Bro probably wakes up and decides every day is an off day. I found his talents to be either mediocre or disappointing, which is a real shame because he really had potential to have good talents. You need a trash bag? There's a roll of them in the closet. Mlynar's first skill makes his attacks deal double the physical damage. It increases his defense by a decent amount. Even though it seems really great for a skill 1, this skill is not that impressive for a couple of reasons. If you think it's the range, it's not. Mlynar only having 3 adjacent tiles as range is fine and not really cumbersome or annoying. You also might think that it's the fact that his skill is an awkward 30 SP so he won't get the full benefit of that 40-second max attack charge from his trait, and no, that's also not the issue. The biggest reason why this skill is mediocre is actually the damage. With his trait fully charged, the skill only has slightly higher DPS than Silver Ash's third skill. Like, seriously? Only slightly higher? Jeez man, talk about underwhelming. That defense boost is also not that great. It's only 60%, meaning he gets 800 defense at E2 max. His tankiness gets better, but still not really good enough. Mlynar's second skill is an actually decent skill. Or at least it tried to be. It increases his attack interval slightly, expands his attack range by a bit, and makes all his attacks deal 2 hits, with each hit dealing almost twice the damage of his attack stat. This skill can be manually deactivated. There's a funky condition on this skill that if he kills an enemy during the skill duration, his max attack charge trait thingy will not reset when the skill comes off. I can see what HG was doing here, you know, since the skill has a 20-second SP charge, Mlynar doesn't have to constantly waste damage by waiting for his trait to charge all the time. Instead, what he can do is kill an enemy with S2, and then you can get some good consistent damage every cycle, or you can deactivate the skill in order to recharge it faster for earlier waves. The biggest problem with this skill though is that damage. It's better than his first skill, don't get me wrong. It even got rid of the mediocre defense buff the first skill tried to give, but now Mlynar, at max trait charge, only has slightly less than twice the DPS of true Silver Slash. You're seriously expecting me to kill anything with 2 true Silver Slashes? That's psycho talk, dude. Absolutely absurd. I feel like HG went in the right direction for trying to make Mlynar good, but the fact that he needs to kill things during the skill duration, challenge impossible by the way, makes this skill practically unusable. There was a good attempt here, but sadly, damage is what Mlynar was truly missing. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees that Mlynar's third skill is his best. It gives him a lot of attack buffs, but I'm too lazy to do the actual math, and I know all of you start foaming at the mouth whenever numbers appear on the screen, so I'll save you all the boredom and say he does slightly more than twice the DPS of TSS, which is honestly a relief. Mlynar really needed this damage because without it, he'd be pretty bad. His range gets super expanded, and he can hit up to 5 enemies in it. Bro even got the true damage bonus on enemies hit by Casimir's operators, which includes himself. All of these sound great for Mlynar. He has above average damage for once, an expanded range, and can hit multiple enemies. But of course, HG had to take whatever hope my boy had and throw it right into the trash can. There is actually a massive downside to this skill, and that is whenever he kills an enemy, it reduces his damage by decreasing the trait charge. This is absolutely horrible news for the Mlynar economy, because that means you can't actually use him to kill anything, otherwise he won't do any damage anymore. Just look at how pitiful my man looks in this clip after only killing a couple of enemies. You can clearly see the difference between a Mlynar S3 with max stacks and a Mlynar that buried 3 bodies in his backyard at 19.977 latitude and negative 102.287 longitude. Because you'll have to take this downside into significant consideration for using Mlynar S3 at the right time, he's pretty hard to use. Overall, I don't think you guys should be pulling for this dude. I don't know why people love him so much, but his kit is pretty bad, and he requires a lot of help to be on an even decent level. I definitely don't think he's as strong as everyone says. Anyways, that's about it from me. See you. Hey guys, happy early April Fools. I know it's a bit hard to tell when I'm sarcastic because of my monotone voice, but that's okay. I'll dedicate next video to explaining every single joke in this one so you can tell when I'm joking and when I'm not joking. Alright, well, the bleach is in the bathroom supplies closet, and we have ethanol and acetate in the lab. I'll put an order in for it, don't worry. Anyways, what are you doing with all these supplies? It's whatever. God, Mlynar, you're just up to no good, aren't you?